Imagine this: you're standing in the ashes of what was supposed to be your life. The relationship that defined you has collapsed, the career you built your identity around has vanished, and the future you envisioned lies in ruins. In this moment of complete devastation, as you stare at the wreckage of everything familiar, a terrifying question whispers through the smoke. What if this isn't the end, but the beginning? Here's the paradox that will haunt you: the very pain you're desperate to escape might be the only thing that can save you. That heartbreak that hollowed your chest? The failure that made you question your worth? The loss that rewired your nervous system? They weren't random acts of cruelty, they were invitations, brutal, necessary invitations, to become someone you couldn't have imagined before the breaking. Consider the lobster. To grow, it must become uncomfortable in its own shell, crack it open, and risk annihilation in the vulnerable process of forming a new one. Yet you've been taught to armor up at the first sign of discomfort, to numb the ache with distractions, medications, frantic productivity, anything to avoid sitting with what hurts. The modern world offers countless escape routes from suffering, but here's what no one tells you: every time you run from the fire, you're refusing your own transformation. Think of the last time life truly changed you. Not the surface shifts, new job, new city, new relationship, but the tectonic movements that rearranged your soul. Trace it back. You'll find it always begins the same way, with an ending. With the death of some former self. With pain so acute it becomes a kind of midwife. The Japanese art of kintsugi doesn't hide broken pottery's fractures, it highlights them with gold. This philosophy is a radical one that suggests that the breaks don't diminish the piece, they make it more valuable, more beautiful, more itself. Now touch that place in your chest where your oldest wound lives. The one that still hums in quiet moments, and you've spent years apologizing for. What if that scar isn't evidence of damage, but proof of initiation? Among history's most transformative figures, Nelson Mandela saw his prison cell became his crucible. Frida Kahlo's broken spine birthed her iconic art, and Beethoven's deafness composed his greatest symphonies. Their suffering wasn't incidental, it was instrumental. It was only their suffering that paved way for the grand success they had and made them legends of their fields. Yet we live in a world that treats pain like a glitch in the system, that medicates normal human suffering into disorders, and then sells enlightenment like it is nothing. We've turned rites of passage into pathologies to be cured. Now here's the dangerous question: what if your deepest wounds aren't obstacles to your purpose, but the path itself? That breakup that unmade you? It was dismantling false notions of love. That career collapse? It was burning away ego-driven dreams. That illness? It was slowing you down to speed you up. The most terrifying realization isn't that life contains suffering, it's that your suffering might be the most important work you'll ever do. But to understand why, you must first see how thoroughly we've been trained to fear our own transformation, and who benefits from keeping us numb. So let's dive in. Let's dig deep. Let's unravel this amazing episode at the Philosopher's Night. So here we go. The first lie you were told about pain was that it's temporary, and the second, more dangerous of those lies is that it's meaningless. We live in an era of emotional bypassing, where entire industries profit from your belief that suffering is a glitch in the system, rather than the system itself. Pharmaceutical companies sell numbness as salvation. Self-help gurus package enlightenment in 30-day programs. Social media platforms turn vulnerability into a performance art. All while the quiet truth remains. Why do modern societies conspire to make you forget your pain, in any which way possible or in the quickest way possible, because pain, when fully embraced, makes you simply ungovernable. Such a person can never be manipulated in any form or manner. Friedrich Nietzsche saw this clearly. To live is to suffer, to survive is to find some meaning in the suffering, he once quoted. Yet we've created a world where meaning-making has been outsourced to therapists, pastors, and life coaches rather than cultivated and managed within oneself. Carl Jung once warned that neurosis is always a substitute for legitimate suffering. What we call mental health disorders are often just our psyche's rebellion against the violence of avoiding necessary pain. Viktor Frankl emerged from Auschwitz with an unsettling revelation: those who found meaning in their suffering were more likely to survive. His logotherapy posited that meaning, not happiness, is humanity's primary motivational force. Yet today, we medicate away despair before asking what message it carries. The spiritual marketplace has commodified this truth into oblivion. Mindfulness apps promise peace without confrontation. Manifestation coaches sell magic bullet dreams. We've turned ancient wisdom into spiritual fast food. All the calories, none of the nourishment. Even our language betrays us. We speak of healing as returning to some pre-wounded state, rather than recognizing that the wound itself becomes the lens through which we see the truth. The Hebrew word for crisis shares its root with birth. The Chinese character for danger contains the symbol for opportunity. Ancient cultures understood what we've forgotten: breakdown precedes breakthrough. Consider the lobster again. It grows by becoming uncomfortable in its own shell, cracking it open, and surviving vulnerable periods before emerging stronger. No lobster ever grew by staying in comfortable shells. No human ever grew by avoiding necessary suffering. Yet here you are, taught to armor up at the first sign of discomfort, conditioned to believe your value lies in appearing unbroken. Trained to treat your pain as an enemy rather than an ally. And here's a great irony: your avoidance isn't protecting you, it's actually preventing your becoming. Every time you numb the anxiety instead of listening to its message, every time you scroll past loneliness instead of sitting with it, you're refusing the initiation your soul arranged for your growth. This brings us to the silent catastrophe unfolding all around us, the devastating consequences of a world that's forgotten how to suffer well. Consider your everyday morning routine. You wake up each morning to the quiet hum of avoidance. The way you reach for your phone before your thoughts can surface. The way you laugh a little too loud at jokes that aren't funny. And the way you say "I'm fine" when your bones ache with something far more important. These aren't just habits, they're rituals of a life built on the denial of pain. And their cost is far greater than you imagine. Consider what happens when we exile our suffering instead of confronting it. We become ghosts in our own lives. That childhood wound gets buried. That creative dream deemed impractical gets abandoned. The grief that whispers at 3 a.m. gets silenced. The French philosopher Albert Camus saw this clearly. We get into the habit of living before acquiring the habit of thinking. Today's society's great deception is that we have pain-proofed everything in our lives. Therapy apps promise to fix negative emotions in minutes. Dating algorithms claim to eliminate heartbreak. Productivity hacks vows to erase the struggle from growth. But in this desperate grasping for control, we commit the ultimate surrender, relinquishing our right to be human. The Stoics knew this paradox well. The more we try to avoid inevitable suffering, the more power we give it over our peace. Even our attempts to use pain has become very badly distorted and corrupted. Instagram wisdom reduces profound suffering to mere silly stories and amateurish inspirational quotes. Corporate training co-opts resilience into a tool for burnout. The spiritual marketplace sells enlightenment like a weekend seminar. What was once the sacred fire of transformation becomes just another product, another way to bypass the actual work of being transformed. Multiply this avoidance by millions, and you get our current predicament, a society increasingly skilled at distraction yet impoverished in meaning. We have more ways to communicate than ever, but fewer truths worth saying. More entertainment options, but less capacity for joy. More medical solutions for depression, but less understanding of what the soul might be trying to express through it. But the most dangerous of all consequences is that we're losing the ability to recognize real meaning when we encounter it. Like addicts, who need stronger doses to feel anything at all, we chase exaggerated experiences, drama, outrage, extreme sports, obsessive productivity, because ordinary life feels flat without the depth that only integrated pain can provide. Yet even in this numbness, there are clues. That strange nostalgia when listening to sad music. The unexpected relief when someone finally acknowledges your unspoken struggle. The magnetic pull of stories about people who found greater purpose after great enduring. These aren't accidents, they're your psyche's way of reminding you what you've been missing. The German poet Rilke once wrote to a young protege, "Do not believe that he who seeks to comfort lives life untroubled. It is actually quite the opposite." This is the truth we keep rediscovering. Those who speak most deeply to our condition are not those who avoided darkness, but those who learned to read by its light. Which leaves you with a question, which is both insightful and beautiful. How much of your life have you spent building defenses against experiences that were actually trying to deliver you your destiny? The answer may frighten you, because it means recognizing how many crossroads you've mistaken for dead ends, how many initiations you've mistaken for punishments. But this realization also contains your liberation, because once you see the pattern, you can never unsee it again. And seeing is the first step towards the rebellion that must come next. This moment comes when you can no longer unsee what you've seen. When the pain you've been running from turns to face you, not as an enemy, but as the sternest teacher you'll ever know. This is where the rebellion begins, not with raised fists, but with open hands. Not by fighting what hurts, but by letting it remake you. History's greatest transformations emerged from this alchemy. Van Gogh's mental anguish gave birth to classics like Starry Nights, that set still souls ablaze. Maya Angelou's years of silence after trauma forged a voice that would move millions. Einstein's failure as a patent clerk became the vantage point to reimagine the universe and its secrets. They stopped resisting the breaking and instead asked, "What is this pain here to teach me?" The first revolutionary act is simple, yet radical. Stop treating your pain as a problem to be solved. That anxiety humming in your chest, it's not a malfunction, it's a signal that depression is weighing you down, not as a defect, but a signpost. Your psyche speaks in symptoms when its whispers go unheard. Neurologists confirm what the mystics always knew. Suffering almost always carves new neural pathways. MRI scans show that people who consciously process emotional pain develop thicker gray matter in brain regions associated with self-awareness and emotional regulation. Your wounds aren't just injuries, they're portals to greater capacity. Try this counterintuitive practice. Sit with the shatter. When the pain strikes, resist the instinct to numb or flee. Set a timer for 10 minutes and simply observe the sensations without judgment. Notice where it lives in your body, the weight in your chest, the heat in your throat. This isn't passive acceptance, but active reconnaissance. Mine for meaning. Ask, what false belief is this pain exposing? What inauthentic version of myself is being burned away? And what strength could only be forged at this temperature? The Japanese concept of wabi-sabi finds beauty in imperfection and transience. In tea ceremonies, the most prized cups are often cracked or irregular, where every crack, every flaw is a story of strength, a story of survival. Your scars work the same way. This rebellion won't look like what you expected. There are no banners or battle cries, just the quiet courage to decline the numbing distractions you once craved. Listen when your body whispers so it won't need to scream. Treat your breakdowns as potential breakthroughs. Rumi once wrote, "The wound is the place where the light enters you. Not after it heals, it enters while you are healing through it." Your pain isn't the obstacle to your purpose, it's the refining fire that makes you capable of fulfilling it. But this is only preparation for the final revelation, the understanding that will make sense of every struggle you've ever faced. The deepest revelation comes not in a blaze of light, but in the quiet, after the storm, when you finally understand that your pain was never the antagonist of your story, but the strictest mentor you'll ever have. It was sculpting you all along, carving away everything you wasn't for you, so that you could become what you were meant to be. This is the ultimate paradox. Your greatest suffering contains the seeds of your highest purpose. That breakup that shattered you, tore down your illusions about love, so you could build something real. That failure that humiliated you, destroying the fragile ego standing between you and true mastery. Neuroscience now confirms what ancient traditions always taught: post-traumatic growth is real. Studies show that people who consciously process adversity don't just recover, they evolve. Brain scans reveal heightened activity in regions linked to empathy, creativity, and emotional regulation. Your nervous system literally rewires itself through suffering, but only if you need it. With courage instead of resistance. The Japanese art of shiganai, accepting what cannot be changed, isn't about passive resignation. It's about recognizing that some doors only open when others slam shut. The life you planned had to burn so the life you were destined for could emerge from the ashes. Consider this radical reframe: your anxiety isn't a malfunction, it's your soul's GPS, signaling where you're out of alignment. Your depression isn't just pain, it's the weight of unrealized potential, demanding to be born. And your heartbreak isn't punishment, it's the universe removing what you lacked the courage to release. The mystics were right all along. The alchemists turning lead to gold were metaphors for your transformation. The phoenix rising from ashes mirrors your capacity for reinvention. The crucifixion and resurrection story plays out in every life that turns suffering into service. Your wounds aren't flaws in your design, they're sacred texts. The scars you've been hiding are maps to buried treasure. The parts of yourself you've disowned hold the exact medicine someone else needs. This is the final truth: your purpose isn't something you find, it's something you forge in the fires of your own becoming. The world doesn't need more perfect people, it needs initiated ones. People who've stared into the abyss and brought back wisdom. People who can sit with others in their darkness because they've learned to sit with their own. So the next time pain knocks, don't hide, don't numb. Open the door and say, "Teach me." Then listen, really listen to what it's been trying to tell you all along. Because the light you'll one day shine into the world was forged in your own darkest nights. The hope you'll offer others was hard-won in your private despair. And the love that will heal begins where your own heart was once broken open. This is how pain shapes your purpose, not by breaking you, but by revealing the unbreakable within you. Not by giving you answers, but by making you the answer someone else has been praying for. Now, what will you create with the wisdom your wounds have given you? The world is waiting. Thanks for looking.